Hi everyone, it's Dr. RAMANI and welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships. So let's break down, I think what's so hard about narcissism is that there's so many sort of basic tenets of psychology and they kind of go a little wonky when a person's in a narcissistic relationship. So one thing we know is that how we talk to ourselves kind of dictates how we feel. Now, I don't mean superficial, I'm great, and then you feel good, or I'm happy, and you feel happy. But certainly how we talk to ourselves, if it's all doom and gloom, we may feel doom and gloom. And if we say, like, I think I can do this, we might feel more motivated to try something. So how we talk to ourselves is not only how we act, but also how we feel. However, that becomes a real problem if you're in a narcissistic relationship. And why would that be? Let's try these on for size. I'm so stupid. I'm not that lovable. I'm a mess. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's my fault. What's wrong with me? I am pathetic. Any of that sound familiar? Language matters. Obviously, language is how we make sense of the world, how we communicate about ourselves and about the world with other people, but it's also how we communicate with ourselves. How we think, how we speak, often dictates how we feel. It's not as simple as walking around and saying, I'm happy, and you say, I'm happy, and now you're happy. It's not, I wish it was that simple, but it's not. But even shifting subtle language away from always, instead of saying things are always going to be this bad to right now things aren't going well, can shift our perspective and can also shift our emotional state. It's basic sort of cognitive behavioral psychology 101. How we talk about ourselves will also guide how we go through the world. Negative self-talk is something that's associated with depression, anxiety, poor self-appraisal, and will extend to the kinds of professional risks we may take, how we present ourselves to others, and the opportunities we may pursue, as well as the opportunities we may receive. The way we talk to the world and to ourselves is very powerful. Unfortunately, a lot of this negative self-talk and people who engage in negative self-talk, it's very reflexive. Before we can even know what we are saying, the I'm no good, I'm stupid, I'm not all that, I'm not even much, all that bad stuff, it comes out of our mouths before we can even think, right? Language often fosters something like congruence. It's a bit like what we see in cognitive dissonance. We use language to make the pieces fit. My mother yells at me because she loves me and I deserve it. My partner is frustrated because I'm always so anxious. No wonder he thinks I'm so sensitive. I need to grow up. We use language to justify, to rationalize, and to make the pieces fit. And in every narcissistic relationship, every survivor of narcissistic abuse I have ever worked with, the negative self-language was almost instinctual. And a lot of our therapeutic language was for me to catch it in therapy in real time and show the client it was happening. These are not easy habits to break. And each time we talk badly about ourselves, we wound ourselves. Now, if you are in a narcissistic relationship, the self-talk may have long predated the relationship. If you grow up with a narcissistic parent, negative self-talk is almost something you're acculturated to do, and sadly, it can sometimes even be a survival tactic to put yourself down. For a child, you may be merely echoing what a parent says to you or how a parent treats you. You may also be falling on your own sword to get ahead of their verbal devaluation, and obviously you may have internalized their chronic invalidation, dismissiveness, and lack of recognition of you. Somebody tells you you're no good long enough. It's how you talk about yourself. That negative self-talk, a byproduct, certainly it could be a byproduct of having a narcissistic parent, that can definitely follow you into adulthood. Putting yourself down, self-deprecation, making jokes at your own expense, all of this is often an echo and a legacy of having a narcissistic parent. Unfortunately, it also means we go into adulthood selling ourselves short. not taking the chances, not putting ourselves out there, and unintentionally giving permission to others to treat us this way. It's not like we're rolling up and doing that, but unfortunately it can almost set things up that way. Now, even if you didn't grow up with a narcissistic parent, simply even being in a narcissistic relationship in adulthood can have a similar effect. Being gaslighted can leave a person chronically questioning themselves and with time starting to believe that they are literally almost impaired. It can come out in how you talk to yourself in the relationship and how you talk to and about yourself, I should say talk about yourself with other people. Unfortunately, over time, if you tell yourself something enough, you start to believe it. And sadly, when people go to therapy, people who have been experiencing narcissistic abuse, they may find that the therapist may jump on that negative self-talk and negative beliefs about the self and try to target those within the person. But unless that therapist understands that the negative self-talk is being mirrored back in the relationship in a sad way, almost makes it work, then you can discuss how to address those words and thoughts until the cows come home. But until it is recognized how much of this negative self-talk is part and parcel of being in a narcissistic relationship and not just internal to the person, it's like cleaning up a room just to have someone come in and immediately mess it up. You got to understand that the negative self-talk is being maintained because it's often being mirrored by the person you're most close to in your relationship. Now, narcissistic relationships work when we are small and the narcissistic person gets to be big. And a quick way to being small is to talk about ourselves as though we are less than, as though we're incompetent, foolish, fearful, all of those things. Some folks have even said that the negative self-talk was, like I said, a way of getting ahead of the narcissist. Insult ourselves because before they can insult us. But all of this negative self-talk, self-deprecation, whether we've been doing it since childhood or if we started doing it during an adult narcissistic relationship, it isn't just a benign activity. It shapes our sense of self. It shapes what we believe we deserve. This isn't as simple as sad person, sad talk. Too often, it's the downstream effect of being gaslighted, chronically devalued, minimized, internalizing a sense of being not enough, and being made to feel small. I don't think most survivors of narcissistic abuse are going to walk around saying, I am more than enough, I am smart, I am delightful. But I would settle for folks just stopping doing it at all. That right there is a start and a key piece of healing. Many, many people will say, before I got into this narcissistic relationship as an adult, I actually didn't talk about myself badly, that I actually did have confidence. I felt good about myself. I was very clear on what I knew and what I didn't know, but I felt confident. I would talk about myself that way. So even if you came from a happy home, happy childhood, had confidence, entering into a narcissistic relationship can completely turn and distort how you talk about yourself. And that can put many people on a downward trajectory. Addressing that self-talk is one of the central core tasks of healing. Thanks again.